Also, since you decided to address the President of the United States, would like to make it clear to the entire world that the United States remains available for formal talks with Iran, but only if Tehran is prepared for direct and meaningful dialogue. Direct and meaningful. We're not going to negotiate in public, of course, not here. We have been clear, however, about certain expectations for any arrangement. Foremost, there can be no enrichment inside of Iran, and that remains our principle.
6 months after the intense 12-day war between Iran and Israel, Tehran's top nuclear official has come forward with a revelation that could reshape global discussions about the conflict's true impact. Mohammad Islami, Iran's nuclear chief, revealed that Israel's first precision strike on the city of Isfahan had directly hit a fuel plate production facility, a key site nestled within Iran's broader nuclear infrastructure. This particular facility, he explained, wasn't designed for weapon production but for manufacturing radiopharmaceuticals, specialized medical compounds derived from radioactive materials. Radiopharmaceuticals play a vital role in nuclear medicine, allowing doctors to trace and diagnose complex diseases using imaging techniques that rely on controlled radiation. But their use goes far beyond diagnosis. These radioactive drugs are also critical in targeted therapies, especially in treating life-threatening conditions such as cancer. The city of Isfahan, long considered one of Iran's most important nuclear hubs, has frequently been the focus of international scrutiny, and in June, it became a direct target in joint operations reportedly involving both US and Israeli forces. Mohammad Islami, the head of the Atomic Energy Organization of Iran, said, quote, "The first site in Isfahan that the Zionist regime targeted with missile strikes was the plant, producing fuel for the manufacture of radiopharmaceuticals, which means the very things that were essential for the people and the country's progress were attacked at the very first stage. The real issue and problem is Iran's progress, not nuclear weapons," unquote. Mohammad Islami claimed that Iran's nuclear industry was merely used as a convenient pretext for the conflict that erupted on June 13, a war, he insisted, that had far deeper geopolitical motives behind it. Targeting Western powers directly, Islami lashed out at the United Kingdom, France, and Germany, accusing them of using the nuclear issue as a cover to halt Iran's scientific and technological progress. On December 23, the same three European nations issued fresh statements regarding the 2015 Iran nuclear deal, reigniting debate around one of the most contentious diplomatic agreements in modern history. In their official remarks, the European trio asserted that United Nations Resolution 2231 must continue to remain in effect, even though its original legal lifespan had technically expired. Islami dismissed these actions as purely symbolic, describing the UN Security Council's meeting as nothing more than a political gesture, a move motivated by power and posturing rather than genuine diplomacy, according to Press TV. Meanwhile, tensions flared during the Security Council session itself, as Tehran and Washington confronted each other once again, sparring fiercely over the future of the nuclear deal and the fragile balance of global security tied to it.
Also, since you decided to address the President of the United States, would like to make it clear to the entire world that the United States remains available for formal talks with Iran, but only if Tehran is prepared for direct and meaningful dialogue. Direct and meaningful. We're not going to negotiate in public, of course, not here. We have been clear, however, about certain expectations for any arrangement. Foremost, there can be no enrichment inside of Iran, and that remains our principle. I've worked for President Trump in 2 administrations now, and I can tell you, in both administrations, President Trump extended the hand of diplomacy to Iran. But instead of taking that hand of diplomacy, you continue to put your hand in the fire. Step away from the fire, sir, and take President Trump's hand of diplomacy. It's extended to you.
We appreciate any fair and meaningful negotiation, but insisting on zero enrichment policy, it is contrary to our rights as a member of the NPT. And it means that they are not pursuing the fair negotiation. They want to dictate their predetermined intention on Iran. Iran will not bow down to any pressure and intimidation. And we are not going to blackmail to the body in international field. Thank you.
In the months leading up to the 12-day war between Iran and Israel, diplomatic channels were far from silent. The United States and Iran had already conducted 5 intense rounds of talks focused on Tehran's controversial nuclear program. During these negotiations, Iran drew a firm red line, making it clear that any agreement must respect its right to continue enriching uranium, a stance it viewed as essential to its sovereignty and scientific independence. But on June 13, that fragile dialogue collapsed as Israel launched a massive military assault on Iran, accusing Tehran of secretly advancing the weaponization of enriched uranium under the guise of peaceful research. Just 9 days later, the conflict escalated dramatically when the United States officially joined the war. On June 22, Washington deployed B-2 stealth bombers to target multiple nuclear facilities across Iran. The strikes employed heavy bunker-buster bombs and Tomahawk cruise missiles to penetrate fortified underground sites, leaving visible damage across 3 critical nodes in Iran's nuclear network. In a swift retaliation, Iran struck back at America's regional presence, launching a series of ballistic missiles aimed at U.S. military bases stationed in Qatar, signaling its readiness for a prolonged confrontation. Interestingly, Israeli officials later admitted that their offensive had inflicted less damage on Iran's missile arsenal than expected, acknowledging that Tehran's military infrastructure proved far more resilient than anticipated. Meanwhile, tensions eased slightly as U.S. President Donald Trump reiterated that Washington remained open to negotiation, saying that the United States was ready to strike a deal with Iran whenever Tehran chose to return to the table.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that we will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.